Hello and welcome, groovy sound searchers, to the Old Newspaper Plus. I'm Courtney Lorraine, bringing you the old news. In this episode, I'm popping into the medicine ads of the vintage periodicals. That's right, everybody. We are getting into the quacky medicines. I'm sure most people now, in the year 2022, have at least a slight understanding of the fact that medical practices and or concoctions haven't always been safe or even logical. But we're not going to get into all that. Today, I'm just here to remind everybody of an ad or series, really, of ads for some pills that weren't all that bad unless you enjoyed being slowly poisoned to death with arsenic and potassium carbonate. Really quick side note, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. Never ever will I ever give medical advice on this show. We are just reading newspapers for fun, people. The pills I'm reading about in this episode have been out of production since the 1970s for a very good reason. They did contain poisons, and I'm not recommending them ever. So, the success stories, by the way, that you hear in these articles or these advertisements, really, were most certainly fabricated. The manufacturing company of this pill bribed consumers for a long time in order to get people to write in success stories of miraculous cures performed by these pills. So, with all of that in your brain, I'm now going to get into the advertisements. In order to save a little bit of time, I don't plan to read the entire pages because, yes, thanks to a Canadian journalist named John Mackenzie, the ads usually took up an entire page of publications. That was so that they could add in a lot of these acclaimed success stories of people being cured by the pills. This first ad, which is a full page, there are 17 success stories included. And I'm not going to read all that because it is a lot. I'm only going to read what's being promoted and the titles given to the little stories because those are very entertaining. And that's really all you guys need in order to grasp the lengths that this company went to get people to buy these pills. Just know this entire page was one whole advertisement, and that's not really all that common in newspapers, so kudos to them, I suppose. This advertisement page was originally published in The Age of Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, October 14th, 1898. The best spring medicine in the world. In the springtime, the blood needs attention. The change of the year produces in everyone, whether being conscious of it or not, some little heating and impurity of the blood. Some persons have pimples, a little eczema, or irritation of the skin. Others feel fullness in the head and body, especially after eating. Purgatives are not the right cure. The best of all spring medicines for man, woman, and child is Dr. William's Pink Pills for Pale People. They cure not by weakening the system as purgatives do, but by giving it strength. They are a tonic, the best tonic in the world, and they cannot harm the most delicate. By their use, tired, weak, thin people become strong, plump, and energetic. Read what your neighbors say. Once they suffered, now they are cured. Your own case may be similar to theirs. The testimonials below are therefore worth reading. Sorry, I apologize for my dog snoring. A weary, sickening feeling, peculiar taste in the mouth and morning headaches, an athlete's breakdown. Miko Walsh, the Victorian champion, testifies to Dr. William's Pink Pills. Pernicious anemia and fever, the very sad condition of a Fitzroy lady, So weak she could not walk, now in perfect health, a miracle at your very doors. Chronic diarrhea. A New South Wales gentleman suffers for 30 years. Doctors treated him in vain. He wasted to a shadow. His ailment brought on fainting fits. 3.5 to 4 boxes of Dr. Williams' pink pills absolutely cured him. He is now better than he has been for 30 years. General debility, liver complaint, chronic dyspepsia. A lady cured at the Lochiel House, West Melbourne. She was in a terrible low condition, pains in the back, weak sight, severe headaches. Please read the wonderful cure performed by Dr. Williams' pink pills, a miracle in your midst. Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people. Always ask for Dr. Williams' pink pills. Beware of other so-called pink pills. Your life may be endangered by them. Avoid cheap pills. They are poisonous. The summer heat will make you tired and weary. Dr. Williams' pink pills will make you strong. Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people. Anemia and sick headaches. Troubles very prevalent in summer. They are wearying and weakening. A lady tells of her cure. Ladies, read this. A woman at 45, how pain and suffering can be avoided. A noble remedy with a noble record. A lady gratefully gives her experience, her advice to all women. Ask for Dr. Williams. Be sure you ask for Dr. Williams' pink pills. It's only Dr. Williams' pink pills which have performed the thousands of wonderful cures as advertised. Please write to us. If you are suffering from any ailment whatsoever, please write to us. We shall tell you whether we have heard of similar cases of yours being cured by our pills. If we have not, we will say so. We will treat you with the utmost candor. Your letter will be sacredly confidential. Do not hesitate to write. We will answer you freely without charge. The giant blood builder and nerve tonic. Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people. So that's that one. I love these titles. They're wild. And like people just don't write like that anymore, I suppose. Probably because it's illegal to advertise things like that because it's false. So this next one, I'm also going to shorten it up a little bit. I didn't count how many success stories are in here. I think it's about 20 though, by looking at it. This advertisement was about half a page, and it was originally published in the Taunton Courier, Bristol Exeter Journal, and Western Advertiser in Taunton, Somerset, England, January 8th, 1908. Hopefully I said 1898 for the last article, because I know I keep mixing up 19 and 18 because it's so close right here. But this one is from 1908. 1907 and a remarkable record. Sparkling health, beauty enhanced. An immense number of letters was received during 1907, full of praise for Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people. These letters were written by grateful people describing great benefits derived in anemia, indigestion, neuralgia, nervous disorders, rheumatism, sciatica, paralysis, and more. To an army of men in 1907, Dr. Williams' pink pills gave new strength, increased energy, and strong nerves and muscles. To a multitude of women in 1907, Dr. Williams' pink pills restored sparkling regular health, brightness to their tired eyes, and a bloom of beauty in their pale cheeks with a brilliant, rosy complexion. The one reason for these many cures is that new good blood is made by Dr. Williams' pink pills. Read the following extracts from letters received in 1907, published by permission. Anemia. Quote, I cannot say too much in favor of Dr. Williams' pink pills for anemia. End quote. Debility. Quote, I was completely cured of debility through worry by Dr. Williams' pink pills. End quote. Watery blood. Quote, though once as weak as a child, Dr. Williams' pink pills made me quite strong again. End quote. Consumption. Quote, my daughter was cured of consumption and is now quite bright and bonny thanks to Dr. Williams' pink pills. End quote. Eczema. Quote, Dr. Williams' pink pills destroyed all traces of eczema and gave me health and vigor. End quote. Paralysis. Quote, I was totally paralyzed. Doctors said incurably, but Dr. Williams' pink pills quite cured me. End quote. Rheumatism. Quote, I took Dr. Williams' pink pills and all traces of rheumatism left me. End quote. Sciatica. Quote, all of my sciatica troubles disappeared after using Dr. Williams' pink pills. End quote. Influenza's effects. Quote, Dr. Williams' pink pills struck at the root of my influenza troubles and cured me. End quote. Motherhood. Quote, Dr. Williams' pink pills cured me of persistent weakness and low spirits. End quote. Neuralgia. Quote, cruel neuralgia nearly drove me demented, but Dr. Williams' pink pills removed all pain and restored my health. End quote. Good for men, women, and children. New, rich, red blood that brings back splendid health to bloodless, enfeebled bodies is actually made by Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people, which have cured thousands of sufferers. Sold at shops, but avoid substitutes and take care that the full name, Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people, is on every package, or direct from Dr. Williams Medicine Company. An attractive book, Many Things Worth Knowing, will be sent post-free to all applicants. So, that's that one. Couple of little quick notes. For anybody who doesn't know, consumption is what they called tuberculosis back then. These are called pink pills for pale people because of the paleness in complexion. It didn't actually have to do with race, in case anybody is wondering about that. This advertisement is wild. There's a lot more very interesting titles, but trying to save some time. I had something else I wanted to note, but I'm sure it'll come back to me in a minute. Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people were advertised and sold in 98 countries worldwide. The original formula was created in London, England around 1850, and around 1870 is when G.T. Fulford, a Canadian politician, purchased all the rights to the pills for $100, which is adorable. He then set up the manufacturing company, Dr. Williams Medicine Company, I think is what it was called, and set that up in Bristol, Canada, and began mass producing the medication, quote-unquote medication. The instructions on each package were to take 2 pills 3 times a day, every day, until you got better or you died. They didn't advertise the or you die thing. That I just came up, I added that. The most wild thing about all of these ads, though, are the quote unquote these alleged, success stories that they published. They were always published as parts of the ads, and really just provided false hope to very unsuspecting and very sick people. People in most countries did start catching on to the fact that the stories were probably fabricated in around the we'll say the 19 teens to the 1930s, depending on the country. But like I said, the pills did stay in production until the 1970s. The pills were actually an iron supplement that contained varying combinations of iron sulfate, magnesium sulfate, aloe, powdered licorice, and sugar, which all of these things sound great. I could go for this. I might even take one myself. But these pink pills of Dr. Williams, who was not even a real person, also contained potassium carbonate. And in some cases, mainly in Australia, they also contain arsenic. For anyone who doesn't know what potassium carbonate is, I'm sure we all know about arsenic by now. But potassium carbonate is a chemical catalyst, which means that it's a chemical compound that breaks down other chemicals without itself breaking down. According to medlineplus.gov, a website by the National Library of Medicine, potassium carbonate is, quote, known as a caustic, end quote, meaning when it comes into contact with organic tissue like your skin or your esophagus or your organs in your body, like this chemical compound actually burns and corrodes said organic tissues. Chlorine is another example of this type of chemical compound. It's not the same thing. I'm just saying that that's something that has similar effects. So yeah, that's always fun to have those in your supplements that you take for everything. And who knows, maybe the last two mentioned ingredients were used to maybe keep the formula in pill form. Maybe the manufacturer didn't understand that high doses and prolonged exposure to these chemicals could be lethal. I personally find that hard to believe because George Taylor Fulford definitely studied chemistry in college, and he even tried his own hand at pharmaceuticals for a while early on in his career, but was unsuccessful. So, did I mention, by the way, that these miraculous Dr. Williams pink pills for pale people weren't even prescribed by a doctor? Yeah. Simply ads in the newspaper and word of mouth. So, the ads in the newspapers also advised everyone take them for any ailment. In fact, most of the quote-unquote personal accounts state that their doctors, although competent, couldn't cure their ailments, but that these pills, these magical pink pills, could and did. The pills were also advertised for safe for everybody, like I mentioned. And now I guess we'll get into this is my last page of advertisement. It is about half a page long, but very small print, and there looks to be about 15 quote-unquote success stories. So I'm trimming it up a little bit to save some time. Something else I want to mention, people are claiming success stories for curing influenza. This is before the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918. Before that, in this time period of these advertisements, there was such thing as the Russian flu pandemic that was global as well. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I did find a really cool website that gives a lot of information, and it's by the University of Oxford. So I will post a link to that in social media so that everybody can go check that out, because it's very interesting. I had never heard of the Russian flu before, but apparently it was a pandemic right before the Spanish flu. So this advertisement was originally published in the Courier Post of Camden, New Jersey in the USA, April 5th, 1902. And this ad, I plan to post a picture of the top portion of this advertisement because it's so cool and it just looks like something you would absolutely expect from a 1900s newspaper. You'll see what I mean if you go check it out on social media. But we'll get to that in a minute. Into the article now. Many New Jersey people testify. They are unanimous in declaring Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people to be the best blood builder and nerve tonic. Evidence that cannot be disputed because it is the testimony of your neighbors and they speak from their own experience. Rheumatism conquered. Recent cures recorded at Raritan and Somerville. Sorry, New Jersey, if I mispronounced Raritan. I didn't look that up. Sorry. Miss Carrie Stout of Somerville, New Jersey, was a sufferer of inflammatory rheumatism and was not cured until, upon the advice of a friend, she had taken Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people. Mrs. Stout said in reply to questions, quote, "About 2 years ago, I was laid up with rheumatism and suffered greatly. It finally turned into inflammatory rheumatism, and I was helpless in bed for a month. Of course, a physician was in attendance, and although I obtained some relief from his remedies, I was not cured. I was just able to sit up when a friend and neighbor of my family told my mother that Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people had done for him in curing his rheumatism, and advised her strongly to have me try them. She got me the remedy, and I took it faithfully. After I had taken 2 or 3 boxes, I felt so much improved that I continued until entirely cured. From my own experience, I consider Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people a wonderful remedy." After effects of grip. End quote. After effects of grip. And lingering results of acute diseases banished. Mrs. Lula Phillips of Somerville, New Jersey, who was cured after the effects of grip by Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people, says, quote, "About 3 years ago, I had a severe attack of grip, which left me in very bad condition. I was so weak in the morning I could not stand up straight. My back troubled me so. I had a headache every morning, so bad that I could see black spots before my eyes. My stomach troubled me a great deal, and I also suffered from shortness of breath. I had a doctor, but his medicine did not do me any good. After I had been suffering like this for about 3 months, a friend who had been cured by Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people told me about them. I got some and was taking the second box when I began to feel better. I continued right on taking them until I was cured. I think they are fine, and I always keep some of them in the house. They did me good, and I'm glad to tell about it." End quote. General debility. Weak, nervous, and run-down people all over the state find renewed health and vigor. Mr. Leo Joff of Patterson, New Jersey, is one of the well-known druggists of his town and highly esteemed as a substantial businessman. He is a graduate of Columbia University and of the New York College of Pharmacy, and for some time he was apothecary in Bellevue Hospital. Any statement that he may make concerning a medical preparation can be taken as coming from a responsible man qualified to speak upon the subject. Recently, he was called upon to express his opinion of the well-known Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people. Quote, "I know them to be an excellent remedy, not only from what I have seen them do for others, but from my own experience. I had been doing a great deal of work some time ago. I did not take enough rest, and as a consequence, I became almost used up. I lost flesh, couldn't sleep or eat, I had no energy, and felt mean and tired all the time. I knew of Dr. Williams' pink pills for pale people, as I said, so I began taking them. Improvement came right away, and I continued with the pills until restored to health. End quote. A free offer. Everyone who reads this paper is invited to write for information, which will be gladly given free of charge. If you are ill and your doctor cannot cure you, if you have been pronounced incurable at the hospitals, or if you have some ailment, small or great, that gives you trouble, write. We shall answer your letter honestly, telling you whether Dr. Williams' pink pills have cured similar cases in other people or not. We shall answer you with perfect frankness. We will not, in fact, sell the pills to people whom we do not think it will cure. So, that's the end of that one. Just a quick throwback to the beginning of the episode. I mentioned that the company actually bribed people, but that's not what you guys are hearing in the article when it says free whatever. Like, and they offer a free book and stuff, because that was just to get people to ask for the pills, write them a letter asking for the pills. The prize that you won if you sent in a letter and it was good enough to put in the papers was a brand new bicycle. Keep in mind, this is before automobiles, so bicycles were a big deal. So just putting that part out there too, because that's a fun little fact that I forgot to mention. Or point out earlier, I should say. But that, groovy sound searchers, brings us to the end of this episode. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this fun topic. Like I mentioned earlier, the quacky medicines, this is a new segment for real. I plan to revisit these crazy articles and advertisements in the future here at the Old Newspaper Plus podcast. Don't forget to check out all the images and the links that I'm going to post on social media to accompany this episode. Find me on Facebook at The Old Newspaper Plus. That's all words spelt out, no spaces, no capitals. You can find me on Instagram. You could either search for Court Lorraine, COURTLORRAINE, that's me, or you can search at the_old_newspaper_plus. That's all words spelled out, no capitals. And if you personally have some vintage newspapers or would like me to research a specific topic that you know of and are interested in, send me an email. Let me know, because I would not mind little suggestions every now and then. My email is theoldnewspaperplus@gmail.com. That's all words spelled out, no spaces, no capitals. And you can find the Old Newspaper Plus podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Castbox, Audible, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and YouTube. Sorry, my page just shot up to the top. And don't forget to like, follow, and share. Thanks everybody for listening. Hope you guys come back for more. I'm Courtney Lorraine, bringing you the old news. Bye.